This is probably one of the nicest 15-year-old Silverados on the road, and unfortunately, that ends today. I'ma cut it up. This is a 2007 Silverado. This was my first pickup truck, and I love it to death. The heart and soul of the channel, but today, it's getting a little bit wider to fit some bigger ones of those. It's been a while that these have been sitting up in my parts department, also known as the attic. We have Fiberwerx Fenders. It's gonna replace the stock front fenders there on my Silverado. I would argue that this is probably one of the most best condition 15-year-old Silverado still on the road. Paint corrected, ceramic coated, absolutely gorgeous, but it's not gonna matter anymore today because we're taking a cutoff wheel and we're cutting the fender off. It's a weird day.
Thank you, brother. There's some sugar.
That'll do. So what we have over here is what we've been carrying around in that attic forever. Our Fiberwerx fenders. They're made out of fiberglass, and to get these things on here, it actually requires you to cut the skin off of our front fenders. But we need the inner skin to essentially hold structurally all this stuff. I'm really gonna have a hard time with this video today. I'm gonna start up on the passenger side, because if I make a mistake over there, it'll be less noticeable for me as a driver every day when I get on this side. The most painful part is gonna be taking a cutting wheel and cutting a massive hole right here. I'm having a hard time even just saying it, so I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna take the cutting wheel, cut my side. Here goes nothing. This has been a beast. Agonizing and incredibly exciting. That is nuts. This is gonna be epic. Why it's taking so long is I'm not really following instructions, the lack thereof instructions. There's one video on YouTube, I think it's from Full Droop TV. I guess it was like a pre-runner show where they did this exact installation. The only difference is they took a plasma color and just went ham with the stock fender. And I noticed in a few of their clips, you could see an obvious massive gap in between the inner fender from the stock piece and the fiberglass. What I was trying to do was save as much as of that inner stock piece as possible. That way I can kind of still close this off. Ended up drilling out every single rivet and removed the skin in about 4 different pieces. But now we're kind of just figuring out these miscellaneous brackets. This one looks like it needs to go. This one, we're probably gonna cut it off there at the very edge. It's nearly evening now. I hope you guys can appreciate the attention to detail. This is terrifying. Woo! Another day, boys, but I'm so excited about this. This is looking so enormous. We have a ton of work to do to get this thing lined up and mounted perfectly. But before we tackle this, there's something that just arrived in the mail that I've been dying to install on the ZL1 because a few things happened this last week. Number one, Chevy announced the death of the 6th generation Camaro, which means the value of this is likely to increase. On top of that, the US just announced the actual number of vehicles that were stolen in the year 2022, and we in fact exceeded 1 million vehicles stolen, which is up nearly 10%. I'm happy to announce that this video has been sponsored. We got ourselves a car lock device for our ZL1. If you guys saw the video a few weeks back, we installed a car lock system on our 2007 Silverado, and I've absolutely loved it. It's not only a GPS tracking device, it's a pretty intuitive alarm system, in which gives me peace of mind. 15-year-old pickup truck we've now thrown thousands of dollars into, I can keep an eye on at all times, regardless of where I am. If someone comes into my garage, decides to tinker around my truck, easily installed right there, that OBD2 port. If you have this system locked, 1,001,967 vehicles in total. That breaks down to 19,269 every single week, 2,750 every freaking day. That's up 10% versus the previous year, totaling $9 billion. And damages. We all pay for insurance, and that goes up when this crap keeps happening. So we have our car lock system we're going to be installing in our ZL1 a little bit different way than we did in our Silverado. So this is actually an inline tap. I'm going to find a source with continuous power and tuck it up nice and neat, hiding up under here somewhere. And if a thief somehow still finds the device, pulls it out of the vehicle, it's still going to alarm me immediately that someone's messing with my car, and I should be within striking distance. There you have it, guys. Tapped into a fuse up underneath the fuse panel. Actually, a security fuse. Ran that wire up underneath all this madness. We have our car lock device mounted there. We have it grounded up against the frame, up under all this. So we are good, guys. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of work and fine tuning to do here on this passenger side, and I'm gonna spare you guys all those details. So here is 10 seconds of the next few hours of my life. I did not anticipate my headlamp to be the most difficult part of all of this. Cutting the fender off, everything else we did with it. This just did not want to fit in the Fiberwerx Fenders because the Fiberwerx Fender it's fiberglass. That's what you expect. So what we had to do is actually take off quite a bit underneath this underside. I actually had to take off so much, in fact, that we opened up a little gap there. So before we do what we're gonna do with this paint-wise, I'm gonna need to reinforce the inside of that, but for now, here is our panel gaps. I'm happy with that so far. So we have our stock panel gap, and then the Fiberwerx. It's not bad for fiberglass. And I'm also getting a little bit impatient now, so I'm gonna call it a day before I make a mistake that I regret, but we also do have a tornado coming in 30 minutes, so when you get the cars in the garage. That's it for today. If we survive this tornado, we'll be back right here in 3, 2, 1. Woo, what a beast. Put it on, take it off, change it, put it on, take it off, and it just goes on forever. But we've gotten to the point where we are actually finally ready to install that for the final time after all of this cure. So we sprayed everything in a protective coating everywhere we drilled or cut. And we cut off the absolute minimum when it comes to the stock metal on this truck. You'll also notice the inner fender is still there. Pulled it about 2 inches in this direction, put a self-tapping screw there, which gives me full rigidity. This is solid in place. Took some body working tools and bent up that lip, which is gonna tuck just on the inside of that fender. You'll see in a future video, I'm gonna run a rubber liner around the edge, and also the amount of creativity. So we have 2 sets of triple washers, ended up super gluing triples and doubles of washers together to give me the spacing I need, because that's needed in order to get that fender perfectly level with that hood. But the bad news is I'm completely out of washers now, so we're gonna run to the hardware store quick. Which is a good thing, because our car lock system does need a few drives to fully sync up with this car. It takes about 10 to 12 hours in a few drives. It learns your driving habits, your harshness of braking, your acceleration, your turning, because in the application you do have those options to track aggressive driving. Today we're wrapping up with a completed side. This side is fully complete. On the headlamp here, we're looking good because we had to put a big old spacer, push this out enough to meet perfectly with that headlamp. And then on the door, looks good for the most part, top all the way to the bottom. It's just there in the middle. There's really nothing we can do about that besides potentially build that up in the future. And one more look for the night. Oh my goodness. Here we go again. Well, a contender for the April Employee of the Month has now joined me. What you saw there was we drilled out every single spot weld on top of our fender as well as our wheel well. And a lot of folks, like I've mentioned, just cut off the inner fender here, but we're gonna go ahead and save all of this stuff. So we had to drill out every single spot weld and then broke that lip loose. But what we're gonna do now is the most painful part, where we're just gonna cut the skin off from the truck. What do you think? What's your favorite car? You like Daddy's truck, Daddy's car, Daddy's other car, the race car, or Mommy's truck?
Yeah, my truck.
You like Mommy's truck?
Yeah.
How dare you!
That one. You like her with?
You like the Corvette?
Yeah.
Typical American.
You're fine when you're not really fine.
Absolutely agonizing. That's what that is. That is so painful, but skin's off for the most part. We still have this back cap to pull off, and I'm gonna cut off the absolute minimum like I did on the other side when it comes to the metal. So I'm gonna cut along this edge here, all the way down, follow that all the way to the bottom, and then once that's cut, this piece will come off. We also had to drill out a few of these spot welds that I missed, because I missed that one and I missed that one there. And then we can proceed to getting that new one fitted on there. This one's even more of a beast. Goodness. What do you guys think of that fitment? Got that hood line coming all the way down. And then the edge of our headlamp going down to the bottom. And then the biggest pain in the okole on this side was on the door line. My goodness, and you'll see in a second, we had to stretch that creativity muscle quite a bit. Good thing we had some extra metal lying around from when we were trying to teach ourselves how to weld. Don't flash back. Editor. My video editor's total trash. I gotta get a new one. All right, so here's our fancy little bracket we created, which is gonna give us a lot of adjustability to get this just right. When Fiberwerx makes these, they flare this location where you mount to that door hinge out quite a bit. So much, in fact, here, that it would actually sit out probably a solid inch from my door. And even if I push it as hard as I can and kind of bend it towards the door frame and cinch it down with the bolts, there is no way to keep that center portion close to the door as well. It just looked horrible. So what we did instead, decided to make the executive decision to cut the fiberglass completely off of this. And I'm gonna bolt this guy down to the fiberglass, and this is gonna be our location that mounts to the door. So I can use a few different washers to push it away or closer to the door. That is my creative genius for the day. So I'm all out. We wanna get it done, but it's gotta be done right. I'm not cutting corners on my favorite truck. We did not get very far last night. Turns out, rubs quite a bit in the back. So we're gonna go ahead and trim that before I catch the tire and tear this entire fender off. Let me hop in here to car lock, hop on my Silverado, unlock. Let's cut this fender up a little bit more. Kabiga! Who's the happy boy? Worst day ever. What a project. My goodness, this looks so insane. That is the beefiest looking Silverado I have ever personally seen, and it's mine. I am blown away at how insane this thing looks. Now for body lines and everything, we spent so much time trying to get these body lines just right. As everybody says with fiberglass, it is a pain, and that indeed it was. We got that door frame lined up pretty well. When we go back before paint, I want to do a lot of fine work with some of the fiberglass. I need to sand down a good portion of this, get it to line up with the door here, right where the headlamp is. On both sides, these actually kind of cut short quite a bit away from the hood. So I'm actually gonna build that up with fiberglass just a bit. Same thing on the passenger side. One big mistake I did make, I got impatient with the sandpaper and I took off way too much above the headlamp. Before we go and try to paint match these things, we're gonna go ahead and fix all of this. And when it came to the trimming you saw earlier, we took a good amount of fiberglass off of that back side. We're probably gonna have to take off a little bit more for the 37s, but my wife really wants her wheels and tires back. Bedsides are next. So a big Mahalos for hanging out with me today, guys. This has really been a massive undertaking. 2 weekends it took me to knock this thing out. And I do want to say thank you again to CarLock for sponsoring today's video. Thank you for sending out that second device. It gives me peace of mind, both with this big investment we keep throwing money into, but as well as my dream car, the ZL1. I know exactly where it is at all times. Track it, secure it, protect your assets. It is a beautiful night. I just want to sit around and look at this thing. Man, I love this truck. That's where we're gonna be until we meet again, guys. Until then, as always, y'all take care. Ahoy ho. Aloha. That wasn't very smart. We're about to cut this thing up.
Yeah.
We're about to cut this thing up.
Yeah.
Yeah? What's your favorite car? You like Daddy's truck, Daddy's car, Daddy's other car, the race car, or Mommy's truck?
Yeah, my truck.
You like Mommy's truck?
Yeah.